Today we've got Brandan from Bleeding Through. Bleeding Through is one of those one of those bands that is just like so important for so many people. What a
Thank you.
legendary band. So obviously, Brandan, we'll want to talk a little bit more about Bleeding Through, but before we get into all of that, how you doing today?
I'm doing well. I can't complain. You know what I mean? I get to do what I love every day, and that's come to the gym and work out with people and train people, help people. I still get to do my band. I do what I want to do.
Living
Not
life.
a bad thing.
You're looking well. You're looking well. You know, I knew Johnny Sins had a lot of jobs, but I did not know that the lead singer for or the lead vocalist for Bleeding Through was one of them.
Yeah. Jesus.
How many times have you heard that before?
You know what? Recently, kind of a lot. It's kind of funny because like him and I have met each other before, but like,
oh really?
He would like know that. It's like we met with mutual friends. It's kind of weird, but lately, like people are like, "Yeah, dude, like, like people, people don't want to bring it up, right?"
Right, right.
I don't watch porn. Fucking, we all know the dudes' names too, man. Like we know it, right? Like, so yeah, it's kind of funny. It's funny.
What's it like to meet another guy that like, it's like, yeah, I've seen your dick. That's got to be.
Oh, it's a good icebreaker.
I bet.
It could break some ice. I can tell you that much.
Hey man, I've seen your dode before. You don't shake their hand, you just shake their dick. Oh, there's more.
Love it.
I meant to shake your other hand.
Oh my god.
Not your third leg.
Wow, this is how this interview's starting. This is great.
Yeah,
this is fucking great.
Well, yeah, welcome to the BlackSheep Podcast, Brandan. This is what we do.
All right, go on. This can take us down a weird rabbit hole, man, and I don't think we want to go there.
There we go. Great. Well, let's talk about Bleeding Through. So yeah, even maybe before Bleeding Through, like, how did you get into music? Like, what inspired you to like maybe want to scream in a band one day? Because everybody when they're 7 years old, like when they're asked by their teacher, "What do you want to do in life?" I'm sure you were thinking like, "I want to be in a metalcore band." But at some point, that must have been the dream, right?
Like when I was like a kid, like I remember like. I liked all music. What I was really into was like kind of like R&B and like hip hop, like 80s. But I also had like an older brother that was like a total fucking hesher, right? And like, long hair, leather jackets, listen to fucking like Slayer and Metallica and like Ozzy, like that world, right? But in my world, it was like we were like listening to like Bobby Brown and shit. Like for real. Like that's like kind of like that. And then it's kind of funny, like I remember just like one birthday, my brother getting me a couple tapes, and I think it was like honestly like my 10th birthday. He like burnt me a couple of tapes right for my birthday. And it had like Metallica on there, and it had like even stuff like Led Zeppelin and stuff like that, where I'm like, this is cooler than the other stuff. Like I kind of like this. And so I kept asking my brother when I was like younger to like burn me tapes and like stuff like that, like, or make me burn. You can't burn tape. You can burn tapes. You can't.
You can't play them after you burn them.
A lot of Christian moms did a lot of that.
Probably a lot of Bleeding Through tapes.
Dude, yeah. Okay. So he would make me tapes, and like when I was a kid, and it's kind of funny because like, it was like a bunch of Ozzy, Slayer, Metallica, Megadeth, like all that stuff, right? And I'm just fucking super into it. And then because of that, I wanted more. And then I would like sneak into his room and like go into his tape area and like where he had all those like tapes and stuff. And then see these other tapes like from like bands like Uniform Choice and like Minor Threat and like punk shit. And I'm like, well, what's this? I like that name. I remember looking at the cover of Uniform Choice, fuck, I can't remember the name of the record, but it was like the dude with like an X on his hand singing. And I'm like, asked my brother, I'm like, what is this? And he's like, oh, that means like straight edge. And I'm like 10 years old. And I'm like, straight edge? Like, what is straight edge? He's like, it's like you don't do drugs. You don't like drink and you don't fuck. And I'm just like,
so it's like straight edge is just being a 10-year-old, right?
Like that's basically what I do now. So like basically like so when I was like 10, that was my first like introduction to straight edge, and I loved Uniform Choice. That was like my shit. They're from Orange County. They went to local high schools. Like it was fucking rad. I'm friends with the Dubar family still. Like that is like Orange County. It's fucking awesome. But I remember getting into that shit, and that's what kind of made me like kind of like get into bands, like faster bands, like DRI and stuff like that, like thrash. I was really into like thrash metal, like fucking Exodus and Violence and shit like that. Like that was like my shit. And from there, I kind of like got into like a thrashier side and kind of went into like punk. And then it was like, okay, I like Slayer and I like Pantera a lot. And then I heard a band called Integrity from Cleveland. And I'm like, this is like, I went and saw a show of theirs when I was 12 years old. Okay. And I had older friends that used to just take me to shows with them. And I was 12 years old and they played a show and I was standing on the side, like taking photos. I still have these photos. And I remember like them walking on stage and it was like, here's this dude that was like in good shape with tattoos. And back in 92, man, dudes didn't have tattoos. Now it's like fucking shows are like, if you don't have a tattoo, it's like, you're fucking awesome. Right.
Yeah.
So this dude was tattooed and it scared me. And I'm like, this is like Pantera and Slayer, like together, like, but raw. It just grabbed me so much. And I'm like, this band is changing my life. And I knew it when I was 12 years old. I'm like, watching this right now, this is changing my fucking life. And so I became that was like I listened to hardcore before, but that was like I'm in hardcore now. This is like shit. And then it was like locally starting to discover, I'd go to like every fucking show I possibly could when I was like seeing bands like Strife and Ignite and like all these fucking epic bands, seeing all these tours, Earth Crisis, Undertow, fucking just, it was so fucking rad. But that first Integrity show, like that changed me. It was so humanizing to see a band that raw and that aggressive and that powerful when I'm like standing fucking 6 feet away from their guitar player taking pictures. You know, like I'm like, this is crazy that this type of music can be played, but it doesn't have to be in a fucking arena or whatever. It can be in this shithole fucking venue. And I'm like, I want to play shithole venues. Like this is what I want to do. I just knew
shooting for the stars.
Dude, I'm all, this is speaking to me in some way, shape, or form. And it was like right after that, I'm like, dude, like I want to play music. And if I didn't, like that's when I knew I wanted to. I was about 12. So and I tried to like kind of cheat it because in high school I was a good athlete. I had offers to go play college baseball, football, like just everything. And it's just as soon as I started like really realizing it, what really made it happen, I started playing guitar for 18 Visions. And this was like my junior year of high school, so I was about 16 years old. And once I started playing a couple shows with 18 Visions, I was just like, yeah, sports, nah. Like over it, fucking done. Just didn't play any sports my senior year. And it was all because on weekends, 18 Visions was playing shows, shit like that.
Right.
And like that's just kind of when I knew.
So Mason and I are from the very heart of the Midwest. We're from South Dakota. So cool. We did not grow up around any kind of real strong scene. I have to imagine that Southern California was just a magical place at this time for a kid like you who is now exposed to all this stuff. Can you kind of just like give us the fantasy world that lives in my mind of what it actually was?
All right. Ready?
Yeah.
Here we go. So Southern California back in the day, like we're talking like late 80s, early 90s, was very isolated from the rest of like the world. You couldn't, now you could play, to drive out to the East Coast, you could play fucking a month of shows just going to the East Coast in different cities, multiple cities to play in every state. Back then you couldn't. Las Vegas, you couldn't play shows in Las Vegas. There was nowhere to play. I remember Denver not even really being able to do shows at a scale where any band would try to come there that was like an underground hardcore band, right? It was very limited. It was like we're playing churches and halls and like just the most libraries. Like, how many fucking random shows in South Dakota have you seen in the most random spots? It's
all of them are in random spots.
But I'm just saying, like, that's where shows were here. And I think because like we would get touring bands, but it would be like few and far between. They'd have to be like pretty big bands, and they would always be like, oh man, we drove like 36 hours to get here. So the scene here had to grow within itself. And there was we had a huge Christian hardcore scene in the early 90s. It was like Unashamed, Focused, the fucking great grandfathers of like Christian hardcore, right? And it's like, that was so big. And those are some of the first shows I started going to, because I could tell my mom, oh, it's okay, it's at a fucking church. And it was like crazy fucking people, like, you know what I mean? Like, but I got away with it. And then so I thought like all these shows were, I couldn't even believe it. I didn't know that it was separate. And then all of a sudden you're like going to these other shows, and these other shows are massive too. And then you're going to like these like crustier shows, and those shows are massive. And I'm like, wait, so there's like genres for all of this shit here. And I could honestly say the first place that I feel like genres, like secular genres, started like forming was in Southern California. It was the first time I heard like grindcore, like even deathcore back in the day. There was bands from here that were like, oh, that's like a deathcore band. And like before deathcore even was like a fucking thing. And it was like, but it was, every show was so big. Yeah. Like, it was weird. Like when I went to a small show, I'm like, this is weird. Where is everybody? I just expected like hundreds of people because we all just supported. So I could honestly say like the support here, and it still lives on. Everybody's favorite show is Southern California. You could fucking ask 100 bands, 90% of them are going to say, probably like Chain Reaction or like Observatory is probably my favorite show. And I'm sure people are like, where's your favorite place to play? And I'm like, oh, well, Orange County fucking goes off. Like, it's fucking automatic, because it's like we had to get behind each other. And then it just turned into this thing with like, it really started with like Strife was like and Ignite were big bonding bands. There were big bands in the area. And then it kind of like, when those bands decided to kind of tour more and not play so much locally, there was like a void. And even like the earlier stages of 18 Visions, shows got smaller. And then Adamantium started, and Adamantium like kind of brought it a little bit more like cool. And then Throwdown happened, and it was just like, boom, hardcore is back. Like hardcore is like a fucking thing. Like hardcore is like kids at high schools wear hardcore shirts now because of Throwdown again. You know what I mean? And like I did, but Throwdown made it like cool, you know? And I'll say this till the day I die. Like Throwdown is like what kind of saved the sort of like heavy hardcore scene and like punk scene in Southern California. It really made it more unified again. Like the Throwdown dance team, it gave people a reason to want to go. You know what I mean? Like it was awesome. And then it kind of hit another lull, and then that spawned like Atreyu, Avenged Sevenfold, Bleeding Through, fucking us. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
But it really came from like the 18 Visions, Adamantium, like Throwdown thing. But I'm just rambling. But anyway, it was magical. It really made us feel really good, like we could accomplish what we wanted to accomplish.
Oh yeah.
And we were seeing bands. We felt so good from local support and the people here that like, you know, the show started becoming like talked about in other states and shit. And like, we're getting offers from people that go play places like, oh, this is weird. And I'm talking about like Bleeding Through or 18 Visions. Sorry. We're like, okay, so let's start going. And then it was like, I felt like we all started kind of traveling east and breaking down the walls as we went, and eventually kind of just like went that direction. And yeah, man, like, but honestly, man, the vibes are so good here at shows. Like they really are. And like, I'm not just trying to be like a homer but I mean, dude, like it's just, I still feel like there's such a big appreciation for what we've created here ourselves over the last fucking 30 years of like bringing like heavy music, underground heavy music up, that we're all still friends. You know what I mean? Like Matt from Avenged just honestly in my gym working out right now. You know what I mean? It's like we all hang out, like we, you know what I mean? We all push each other. We all have like a really good, like, you know, we have, even if we don't see each other for, you know, fucking 10 years, it's like, hey man, what's going on? It feels like there's a good bond here. You know what I mean? It was good competition. It was a healthy competition. You know what I mean? So, yeah, man, I'm glad to be from here. I don't think it would have happened if we were from somewhere else.
Yeah.
I think it was all reason. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm. That makes perfect sense to me.
Yeah. We obviously with like interviewing a lot of bands from a lot of that scene, like the hardcore metal scene.
Yeah.
You know, a lot of those bands coming up in like the late 90s or whatever, many of them are from Orange County or Southern California. And what's really cool is like how many of them, kind of like what you're describing, is many of them like have remained there, right? You know, you get a lot of people in the world or whatever, especially now, like even myself, like I grew up in South Dakota and now I live in Minneapolis, and like, you know, people move to a different state or a different city, and the amount of people I know that were in that like punk or hardcore scene or metal scene in the Southern California region in those like 90s, early 2000s, and how many of them are just like, no, this is home. This will always be home. Like, I really respect that. That's so cool.
There's no reason to leave. Like, honestly, I am, you know, I feel very fortunate and blessed to live here and grow up here. You know what I mean? Like, I have roots in the Midwest, and I consider like the Chicago area my second home, and I have family there, and even through Wisconsin and stuff. And that's like part of my heart's there as well. But like, this is like where this is me. I don't know if I could do me anywhere else. Like, literally.
Yeah.
Like, I don't know. And you know what the funny thing is? It's like my friends are the same way as myself. It's like we're all surrounded by each other, that people that are just nuts, like working 14 to 16 hours a day and never stopping.
Right.
You know, it's like, I don't know. I'm not trying to like whatever, but like we have a work ethic. One, because it's the land of competition, and it truly is the land of competition. And if you aren't willing to put in the fucking work, you're never going to make it. And two, this state's way too fucking expensive. And if you don't work your goddamn ass off, it's like,
it's going to spit you out to California or to Colorado
or Texas,
right?
Or Texas. Yeah.
Seriously.
Well, let's talk about how you started with Bleeding Through. Obviously, you know, like you were in 18 Visions. You talked a little bit about that. And then at some point you end up, you know, I would imagine like you just like know a lot of these other guys or whatever, and then you all decide to start Bleeding Through. Is that kind of how that story goes?
I was playing in 18 Visions. That was like my band A. Like 18 Visions was my band. That was me. I started playing in Throwdown because it was Throwdown. It was fucking fun.
Yeah.
And the shows were great. I'm like, dude, yes, I'll play guitar, and fucking awesome, right? And then I was playing a show locally with Throwdown. When I was in Throwdown, like, if Keith, this happened a couple times. Keith's voice went out, and I would just step in and sing. And I didn't consider myself a singer at all. I was a guitar player, but I'm like, I know I can do it because I did backups. I'm like, I know I can do it. So I would do a couple shows here or there. And there was a home show where I don't know if he was sick or he had another show, but we played a home show and I sang it. And it was like, it was a very big show. It turned out being like one of the biggest shows that Throwdown did at that point. Nothing to do with me singing, but it made me appear to look pretty awesome because it was going fucking nuts. And I was like, yeah, handing out the mic for fucking half the set. And this guy, Scott Deneau, who I was friends with, was at the show, and he just comes up to me, and he's after the set, and he just goes, hey, we're going to start a band, and you're going to sing. And I'm like, I don't really want to be a singer. And he's like, no, like, you got to be a singer. He's like, I don't know. He's like, I don't know what it was. He's like, but there was something about like you with a microphone that just kind of worked. And I'm like, okay, fine, I'll try it. And we started a band called Breakneck. Stupid name, but it was going to be a joke. I'm like, if I'm just saying it's going to be a band that's not going to be too serious. But then we started writing, like, we really, like, him and I were really into, like, black metal and, like, death metal, like Suffocation and Emperor and At the Gates and shit like that. And I'm like, dude, let's start, like, writing these riffs. So we started putting together some, like, more technical stuff. And I'm like, okay, Breakneck cannot be our name. And then, like, we're like, let's call it Bleeding Through. And I'm like, it just came out like that. It came out right away. And he's like, why Bleeding Through? And I'm like, I don't know, but like it just like feels good, and it's kind of like we're kind of like all the same. Like my mental towards like people is like we're all like one organism, and to me, like we bleed through life together, whether our beliefs and whatever the fuck we are. You know what I mean? Mm-hmm. So very emo way to give a cool name to a mediocre fucking metalcore band, right? So that was my whole thinking, and we took that name, and for a little while I was doing all three bands, and the first show we played, we weren't even supposed to play it. We had 2.5 songs, and with 18 Visions, we're driving back down to Southern California. We're playing a couple shows with that band Martyr AD. And we had a show coming up at this place called Showcase Theater. I don't know if you guys have ever heard about Showcase Theater.
I don't know if I have.
Showcase, you've heard of Chain Reaction.
Yep. Mm-hmm.
Okay. Showcase was like the first Chain Reaction. That's like that's where really it started, but it just transcended when it got to when Chain Reaction became the spot. We were playing Showcase, and the first band had to drop off. And so our friends, the guitar player Scott of Bleeding Through hit me up and was like, hey, there's an opening spot. Do you want to do it? And I'm like, dude, we have like 2.5 songs. He's like, listen, we'll fucking just do the 2. We'll do an Integrity cover, which we did. And we'll just like figure out a way before the show to like just end this other song on like we'll write a breakdown in the back alley of the venue. And when we're done with the song as we know it, I'll ring out and I'll just start with this breakdown. And after this many measures, and we literally practiced it in the back. And the end of it was like, the end of the set was like, ring out. He starts with this riff, and we just played this fucking suffocation, heavy style breakdown. And I don't even remember what I screamed over it, but it went fucking
nuts,
bananas, like bananas. And I remember like standing there, and I'm just like, fuck. After the show, a friend comes up to me and is like, dude, that was your first show. And it went that crazy. He's like, imagine what the next show is going to be like.
Right.
Or when you put out a demo. And I'm like, yeah, but this band's not going to do that. We're just going to do like local shit. And it was like, we played the second show, and it was like nuts. We put out a demo, and the third show sold out Chain Reaction.
Wow.
And that was just it. That was it.
Wow. I love that you describe it like when a husband doesn't do very good at putting away dishes or like washing the dishes or whatever. Man. And so
we're all the same, by the way.
Yeah. Yeah. The wife then is getting on your case.
It's all the same shit.
Yeah.
All right, go ahead.
But if you do too good of a job, that means it's your job from now on.
It is.
Right.
That's right.
And so that's basically what you did with Bleeding Through, right?
Yeah, man. It just, I don't know. I think people were just ready for something like that.
Yeah. I mean, it is a strange formula, right? It's
yeah.
It doesn't really exist. Like that form of hardcore doesn't really exist.
It's like we were playing blast beats. Like nobody was playing blast beats at a hardcore show. You know what I mean?
Right.
But I'm like, dude, like, let's just play. I remember when we were like writing songs, I'm like, I don't know if people are like going to like that shit. Like it's blast beats, like people, you know what I mean? And now it's just, you can't
go anywhere.
Song doesn't have blast beats, are like, it sucks. Yeah, I remember just playing it, and just like by the third show when we had our demo out, it was like my lyrics were very like emotionally driven, and seeing the way that something's in my fucking eyeball. Okay, there was something about the way that people were singing back lyrics to me. My lyrics, I was like, whoa, this is fucking crazy. It instantly just like the bond was there, and nothing else mattered after that. I'm like, if this band can connect on an emotional level and like an aggressive level, I'm like, that is like what I've been searching for like ever in music. That is me. And that is like my vision to what I feel like hardcore or like metal is to me.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Yeah. It just became this like emotional pull. And then nothing else mattered at that moment. I knew it was only a matter of time before I instantly, actually, funny story. we'll get, God, what, I don't know what's in my eyeball. You guys are spitting at me or some shit.
Got green tea, baby.
Dude, seriously, am I allergic to green tea?
Yeah. Just finding out now.
Okay. So in the beginning days of Bleeding Through, Keith decided to stop singing for Throwdown. And they asked me to sing for Throwdown. And I'm like, long story short, I decided to quit Throwdown to sing for Bleeding Through. And then shortly after that, I was just like, yeah, I'm done with 18 Visions too. It's nothing against 18 Visions, just musically that was better for them. This was better for me. It was the parting that needed to happen.
Sure.
Although, if I stayed the guitar player of 18 Visions, I don't mind saying it, it would have been fucking awesome.
Yeah.
Yeah. I'm not saying they're not awesome. They are awesome. But it would have took a little bit different of a turn.
Yeah. I'm sure you still miss playing the guitar.
I do. I'll be honest. I miss playing in both those bands. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
That was some fucking great years.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Wow.
So you're talking about like some of those origins around Bleeding Through. And so within like a few years, you guys go from playing your first show and playing 2.5 songs sets to in like a 3 or 4 years time, you're on MTV. So like, what was that? Just, I mean, that had to have been just a wild ride where just like before you know it, within a few years, like just life is just coming at you so fast. Like you're probably doing a bunch of shows. I think by that point you're on your 3rd album. I mean, it's just like everything probably was happening so fast, I would imagine, around that time.
Dude, it was the best shit ever. Like, I'll be honest, like, we were very appreciative to like, and still are, but back then, so like, we couldn't believe it. Like, a whole genre of music was developing in front of everybody's eyes. Mm-hmm. And it was like so fast, right? It was like, boom, there we are. Fucking Norma Jean's playing fucking Ozfest. Like, what is happening? Like, you know what I mean? You mean like the Devil tour? Like, what's going on here? Like, so it's like, it was just one of those things where like every day was so exciting because as things were happening, we're hearing like our friends' bands are getting signed by this label and that band's with that label, and it was so fucking rad. It's just this cyclone of fucking energy, right? Like that's how I like to describe it. It was like this unbelievable high that you're on for like 4 or 5 years when everything was so new and every day was like some new information or something was happening that was, wait a minute, we're getting paid how much because this company wants to make Bleeding Through socks? What do you mean? Like shit like that was like, there was no blueprint of how we were supposed to like deal with it. There was like nothing, you know what I mean? And it was just so exciting, but I just remember feeling like almost like shell shocked the whole time. Like, just like, what's happening? Like, and not really like being able to take it in so fully because it was like so overwhelming. But honestly, like I just remember like, it felt so fucking good. And I loved it that like all of our friends' bands were experiencing the same thing. It was like competitive. People thought we were like a really competitive band, but like we really weren't. We were probably the least competitive band. Like we loved when bands were like, had crazy opportunities and tours. Of course, we'd be like, well, why not us? You know what I mean? But like, that's every band. Right. You're not saying that you don't really care. You know what I mean? But
did you ever like get a sense of, because you guys are like one of those early pioneers of metalcore, and then to see within, by the mid to late 2000s, some of the highest charting music in the world was this weird metal genre called metalcore. Like you had August Burns Red and Under Oath and like Devil Wears Prada. I mean, you name it. They were some of the biggest, not just biggest metal bands in the world. They were some of the biggest bands in the world. They were headlining Warped Tour. They were selling out arenas. And do you ever kind of like look back and it's like, I was a part of like creating this particular kind of music that had a certain moment in time where it was one of the largest, one of the most listened to genres of music. Like I would imagine, like, do you look back and think like that I was a part of that? Like I was a part of the pioneering that.
I do now. And it's like, I hope the rest of the bands that had something to do with it also look back and like take credit for it. Right? Yeah. There's no use to being like humble for it anymore.
Exactly.
We blood, sweat, and tears the fucking trail, dude. Like it was fucking hard as fuck. You know what I mean? There was no blueprint for us. We were going to cities that we were like the first band from out of state to play there. You know what I mean? Like Darkest Hour is doing the same thing on the other coast. Like Unearthed was doing that same shit. Like we were just having to like, and it was so inconsistent too. Like talk about waves. You play one show where there's like 400 people and then you go to a basement and play in front of 10. Like that, because it wasn't balanced then. You know what I mean?
Right.
I take great pride in it for sure. Like when I see a band like Motionless in White playing fucking WrestleMania, like, you know, they've said it plenty of times, like we are their biggest influence. That's crazy to me. If what we started has spawned to that level, that it's gotten in more people and more people are listening to heavy music, that's like the most rewarding thing. You know what I mean? It's like, it's fucking cool, man. Looking back and reflecting is awesome, to be honest. Yeah. I get choked up about it sometimes.
Yeah.
I do this thing where I like just take all memories and like smash them inside me and then just like let it out. I'm not going to do that right now because I'll start crying.
Man, I love that.
So you guys kind of are, you know, in this interesting time period where obviously, so you guys tour for a while, you're doing the whole thing for roughly like a decade or so. And then obviously there's like hiatus stuff. And then I think it's 2018 was the last album. And you guys have been playing some shows since then and everything. But yeah, like where would you say kind of the status of the band is? Like, has there like, is Bleeding Through writing new music? Are you planning on like touring a little bit more, playing more shows? What, like, just curious, like where are you all at right now when it comes to the band?
Well, there's the realistic point where we're at, and then there's like the fantasy land where like we want to, but like we're like stuck in this like middle road where we're like, we're enjoying it probably more now than we ever have.
Wow.
But I think we are enjoying it because more than we have is because we play like 30 shows a year.
Right.
We're not touring. You know what I mean? I mean, we are, but our touring is limited. Like we'll go, we're like weekend warriors, dude. Like we would go play like Minneapolis and like Milwaukee, Chicago, fly home. You know what I mean? Like shit like that, or festival runs and stuff like that. Like that's all we can really do because my gym is like, I'm at my gym like 12, 14 hours a day.
Right.
You know what I mean? So yeah, man.
Is there new music we could maybe expect in the next little
while?
Yes,
there is. I don't want to be like super, like we're right now we just put out, we just put out a new single, Our Brand is Chaos.
Yeah, just a few weeks ago. It's sick. It's so good.
Yeah.
This new record, I mean, bands say it all the time, this record's gonna be better than the last record. And it's like, cool. I'll say this first. Our best record to me is Declaration. It will never be beat. It's just such a fierce, raw motherfucker of a record that like, seriously, like we wanted to break up as a band when we were writing it. Like it was like
Fleetwood Mac style.
Total. But this record is the new us. Like I didn't want to come back and especially after COVID and be sort of like just a legacy act. I wanted to make sure people knew that we were flesh and blood still. We weren't just going to play festivals. We'll play fucking shows. Like we'll play fucking anywhere. We played Lubbock, Texas and Iowa City, like we'll play if you want us. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
We're just not able to do like the long tours because of my gym, and we all own our own companies. Marta owns a gym or owns a bar and has 3 fucking kids and Brady Bunch and fucking shit, man. So it's like, you know, like we've figured out a pocket to where we're super comfortable with the shows that we're playing now. We don't really play bad shows, which is kind of cool.
That's gotta be the best.
I guess the years has kind of afforded us that, but yeah, we're going to continue writing music. There's stuff coming in the future. It'll be more in the vein of like the last song. We have a lot of stuff written right now. I'm weekly recording with vocals on tracks with Tim Lambesis. So there's stuff in the works. It's happening.
Hell yeah.
We're going to keep playing as much. We will stretch the shows, as many shows as we can do a year, as to the limit. Like we'll stretch it. We'll play as many places as we possibly can. You know,
love it.
Yeah, and I love the new band. I love our new guitar players. I love all that shit.
That's great. That's great.
Cool.
And one of those places you're going to be playing is Furnace Fest. Super stoked to see you there. Cullen and I will be there. We're doing kind of this Furnace Fest series where we're interviewing different bands that are going to be playing, obviously, the festival this year. And so if you've not gotten your tickets yet, be sure to get your tickets so you can see Bleeding Through and a million other great bands. Yeah, is there any like maybe surprise that we could expect at Furnace Fest? Like, is there anything that you're like,
if it's surprise,
we got something in our up our sleeves right now for this?
Well, yes, but I'm not going to tell you.
Yeah, good.
Well, I thought it would be like you heard it here first. I'm still waiting on like more like citations of this podcast on Wikipedia. So I was really hoping for something, but
oh shit.
I get it.
Push up contest.
Yeah, there we go.
That's awesome.
Yeah, that'd be fun. No, so I got to catch you guys a little bit last time you played at Furnace Fest, and it was fucking riotous. It was great.
It was awesome.
What do you love about playing at Furnace Fest? Because it is a completely different kind of setup, but maybe, as you were saying, you don't get to play bad shows anymore.
No.
So did it kind of fall in line with those same vein of fandom and riotousness, or was it what you expected?
That show was.
And what do you expect this time?
That show is really the show that gave us we did 3 festivals leading up to that. And this was after COVID. We hadn't been playing shows. Like in 2018, we put out Level Kill All, played shows, started getting on the roll, and then COVID hit and was like, boom. So we would have been rolling straight through there. Like probably the same kind of capacity we're rolling now. Then after COVID, during COVID, I'm like, I don't even know if this band's going to do it anymore. You know what I mean? I don't even know. Right. And it's like, so we got back together. First couple festivals were a little rusty, a little creaky. Then we played Blue Ridge, felt better. And then we played Furnace Fest. And as soon as we started playing, I'm like, there we are. Like, there it is. Like, that was the show that, like, I think I even screamed on the microphone, we're back. Like, how dumb is that? We're back! What the fuck does that mean?
Did you say it like Arnold Schwarzenegger too, or?
Dude, for real. But I think that was the show that actually kind of gave us like the confidence to sort of do this again. And I don't know how anything will top anything. I try to just take everything as a moment, like that was a great moment, but it has nothing to do with this moment. Because I think that I got consumed in, well, last time we were here, it was better than this time, so we must be fucking horrible. Every moment's it's a separate moment. You know what I mean? So I'm imagining it's going to be fucking crazy as fuck, right? Like, I don't think that whole show is going to have any, like, let off at all. For any band. Like, that lineup is, that fucking lineup's crazy. So.
Are there any bands that you're hoping to see at Furnace Fest while you're there? Like, I don't know if you're planning on hanging out there
I think
for a while, but yeah.
Saturday. I mean, fuck, dude. The list is insane. So I don't even it's kind of insane. I mean, as far as like newer bands that are playing our day, like Better Lovers is playing our day. I'm looking forward to that. Like,
yeah,
that's fucking sick. Bury Your Dead's playing our day.
Yeah.
Old ass homies from back in the day. I'm really looking forward to that as well. Us and Bury Your Dead played a lot of shows together. Us, Avenged Sevenfold, and Bury Your Dead did a tour together.
Wow.
This is true. Hold on a second. I'm gonna
what a trio.
This will be fun. Go say hi to John and Matt. Say hi. John. Oh, you can't see you. This way. This guy?
How's it going?
All right.
You guys getting swole?
Start with the top circle. Gotta embarrass him.
That's badass.
That's Orange County, fellas.
Dude, small world. I tell you what.
But yeah, I just thought of it because I was going to tell this Bury Your Dead Avenged Sevenfold story. And I'm like, well, Matt's in there. It's probably pretty cool. He'd actually probably tell the story too, but he needs to start working out. We toured at Bury Your Dead on the East Coast with Avenged Sevenfold. Crazy fucking shit. We're in, and kind of like, I think people just thought like Avenged Sevenfold was a bunch of like, just like I don't know, dorks. I mean, we're all dorks. That's why we play.
Absolutely.
But it's like those dudes are like, we can scrap here. You know what I mean? Like we can. And it's like Buried Dead. We're in Quebec City, and the old singer of Buried Dead got in a fight with somebody at the show. Ended up being the people that were doing the show. They walk back to their van, and there's people like waiting for them. And without even thinking about it, dudes in Avenged Sevenfold go in their fucking van, get crowbars and bats, and walk up like, "What? You guys want to fucking do this?" To the dudes at the show, and I'm just like, "That's hard as fuck, dude.
That's hardcore.
Hard as fuck." So next time you listen to Avenged Sevenfold, think of them rolling up on a bunch of people in Quebec City with bats. It's pretty rough.
That's
what year would have this been?
What's that?
What year would have this been?
Roughly
2002.
Okay.
Damn.
Yeah.
That's cool.
It's fucking awesome.
Those are some roots, man. I love it.
I love stories. Like stories like that is worth this whole journey, right?
Yeah,
like
100%.
it's worth this whole thing.
Hell yeah.
Without a doubt. Well, we're looking forward to seeing you at Furnace Fest. It's going to be a hell of a show. And I it sounds like you guys are still like doing a number of shows each year. So hopefully we catch you sometime in the Midwest, whether it's Minneapolis or somewhere nearby.
2025, we have things circled on a map. There's like areas that we need to go to, but it's like, lack of, this year's kind of been like the international year for us. Like we have shows in Japan, and then we're actually doing like a multi-week tour. It's our first multi-week tour in like since 2013, and we have in Australia, and then coming back, and we have a lot of stuff going on. But 2025, we're gonna go back to the Midwest. I believe we're gonna possibly do Milwaukee Metal Fest. I've been talking to Josta about that, and if we do that, we'll probably do some like regional runs as well. So like look for us possibly in Minneapolis or fucking even North Dakota. Fuck it, let's go.
Sweet.
South Dakota. And then we've actually played South Dakota more than North Dakota.
Well, most have. North Dakota's got nothing going on, so except for Fargo to an extent, but that's not really going on. North and South Dakota have a rivalry. South Dakota's always better. That's just what it is. Yeah.
See, Northern California and Southern California have a rivalry too, but we're actually the same state. Yeah.
It's good stuff. It's good stuff. I love that geographical rivalry. It's good stuff.
Do we want to get into top 5?
Let's do top 5. Are you ready for your top 5 most influential, not necessarily your favorite, but most influential albums of your life? Things that albums that have changed you as a person, as a human, and maybe even as a musician.
I mean, probably a lot of people have said this. Pantera, Vulgar Display of Power was like, whoa.
Hell yeah.
Let's see. Uniform Choice, Screaming for Change is the record I'm talking about for Uniform Choice.
That's the one with the guy's hand.
Yeah, with like the X on his hand.
Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah.
Cool cover. Let's get into some different shit. Morrissey's Viva Hate.
Oh
wow,
Morrissey.
Wouldn't have guessed that from you. That's cool.
I have Viva Hate tattooed on my hand. That's how much I love Morrissey.
Hell yeah.
Here's one that you're gonna. AFI Sing the Sorrow.
Oh, really?
Yes.
AFI.
I don't think AFI gets enough credit personally.
They've been a bad band longer than they've been a good band.
That's true, but
they're in the Metallica realm right now.
Oh, 100%. But they're good records.
But they don't get enough credit.
Yeah, they don't get enough credit for their good records, I don't think.
We did some shows with them on Sing the Sorrow when that came out. We did some regional touring with them. And how weird is that? Bleeding Through, Hot Water Music, AFI. Like so cool, but so weird.
That is so strange. I agree.
But to see that band go from like here to like before
massive.
our eyes and actually be on those stages and see like the fandom, it was like the fucking Beatles, dude. That's with that moment, that record made it seem possible to go to another level with the type of music we were playing.
Yeah.
Weren't they featured in like a South Park episode or something? Like I think there was like an emo South Park episode, and they had a poster or something of AFI in there.
Yep.
That's crazy, dude.
They got so big so fast it almost probably made you want to put on eyeshadow, didn't it?
I mean, I did wear eyeshadow.
No,
not because of Davey, but
actually, your face paint stuff that you do is rad as hell. By the way,
it's primal. I mean, people have said some shit about like, oh, what are your like? Why do you care? This is what gets me on stage. This is what gets me fucking going. This is my shit.
Yeah,
you
know? You're going to war out there, really.
It's my fucking. I really am.
Yeah,
you know what I mean? Like it's therapeutic. Like I put that shit on right before the show. I can feel it. I know you guys are listening, think I'm nuts.
No, this is badass. Everyone knows what you mean. If they've watched Braveheart once, they know.
What?
If they've watched Braveheart once, they know.
All you need to do is watch it once. But yeah, so let's try to get to the fourth record. Integrity Systems Overload.
Oh,
hell yeah.
Those are probably my top 5 that I can think of now.
Did Integrity play like a year or so ago at Furnace Fest?
I think
yes.
So yes. Yep.
They're still doing shows, man.
Yeah.
Like it's crazy. Like a lot of shows actually. It's cool.
Love it.
So was that the 4th one or was that 5?
That was the 5th one.
Oh shit.
We got Vulgar.
Yep.
Wait, was that I said Vulgar? Okay, Vulgar Sway Power.
Yep. Morrissey.
AFI. And then maybe that was the 4th.
I think you got one more.
Okay. Slayer, but it's the one Slayer record that is the most obscure of all Slayer records, but I personally think is the best, and that's Divine Intervention.
Ah, okay.
I love that record so much. Yeah. So
why Divine Intervention and not any of the others?
You hear the way that fucking record starts, man? It's the craziest drum fill. It's Bo Steph, not Lombardo. So I remember when that transition was happening, they're like, "Oh, Slayer's done. They can't do it without Lombardo." And they get Bo Steph, and he's just like, "Here's this 40-second drum fill with 30 fucking minutes straight of double bass." You know what I'm just like?
Guys are fucking running while sitting in place. I love it,
dude. It's insane. So yeah, that's kind of like my shit. Integrity Systems Overload is on there.
Yeah. I love that it's just like so hardcore and so metal, and then Morrissey.
And then Morrissey just slapped in there.
Yeah, it's a lyrical thing. I think it's an irony thing. It's a writing thing. He's an artist where you feel it, and you kind of come up with your own interpretation of what that song means to you. Because when you try to figure out what the fuck he means, you're like, what the fuck do you mean? Like, it's I
love that as well.
I mean, okay, now I'm already forgetting shit. If we're talking about like obscure, my favorite artist is Sigur Rós.
Oh, Mason and I love Sigur Rós.
So like Jonesy is my favorite songwriter, composer. So that's above all. That is like my world. And the type of music that I really enjoy like listening to is layers and layers and art and layers and art. Like that's like my shit. So
what's your favorite Sigur Rós album then?
You can't even ask me that. I don't know.
Is it because you don't know, or is it because you can't pronounce them? I can't
pronounce them. A little of both.
So I'll just say, I love every single one of their albums, but I am very partial to Valtari. Like that album Valtari's really holds a special place in my life.
Yeah, both of us.
I'm feeling you on that. What's the one that's the symbol? Just the symbol.
Oh,
I don't know how to say it.
I don't know how to say it, but that was like their first big one.
Yes. That might be my favorite one.
That one. So Cullen and I saw them play like a year and a half ago or 2 years ago now.
Yeah.
And they played in this theater in Minneapolis, and I'm pretty sure most of the songs that they played were from that album. And yeah, it's just it's like outstanding. It was one of the loudest shows I've ever been to.
Oh, yeah.
And I've seen like Zayo and a shit ton of other like metal and hardcore bands in the shed at Furnace Fest. And it doesn't really get much louder than that, but for some reason, Surgeros can get louder than all of those bands.
Yeah. The layering.
I saw them play, I literally was like crying my fucking, like it grips you. It fucking grips your goddamn soul, dude. Like, and it's like you can't feel like that 12-minute buildup of a fucking, and get to that part where it breaks and opens up and you're just like, oh, fuck.
Yeah, it's a release.
Here's the other question. Do you work out ever to Surgeros?
No way.
No, really?
No, I think it's come on once, like if I was like at another gym and it's come on.
I've PR'd to like, I'm sure Surgeros, but I've PR'd to like Death Cab for Cutie. Like that's the kind of shit that I listen to working out.
That's awesome.
Yeah, you want to guess his PR numbers? Just kidding.
Yeah.
All right, Brandon, what do you want to plug
when I work out?
What do I want to plug?
Yeah, what do you want to plug? So obviously the new song is out. It's been out for a few weeks. It's so sick.
It's fucking rad. If you have any, to me that song is a statement. For anybody that's like, I don't know about Bleeding Through, listen to that fucking song then.
You'll know.
If you don't believe that we are still a strong band, listen to that song. Because that's only just like the beginning. Like, it means so much. If you don't know if it means anything, listen to that fucking song. It means something. You know? Like, also my gym, Rise Above Fitness, is going on 12 years, which is pretty crazy.
Hell yeah.
It's become an awesome staple in Orange County for like, it's become a place where people drop by when they're on trips and shit. It's kind of cool. Like, it's fucking cool. Yeah, but that's basically it.
Well, I tell you what, if Mason and I are down in Southern California, we're definitely going to stop by and we're going to lift.
We'll do an episode while we lift.
Awesome.
Yeah.
We'll make it happen.
Oh yeah.
I'm all about that. Sweet. Brandon, anything else you'd like to plug?
Well, okay. I might get in trouble for this one.
That's fine with me.
In 2007, I filled in for Corey Taylor with Slipknot for a year. I did.
Did anyone know?
We kept it a secret.
Did you have that good of a Corey Taylor impersonation?
Oh yeah.
Hot damn, dude.
So you dressed the part and everything, right?
I wore the mask, jumpsuit. I did the same call outs. I did all of his shenanigans, all of his crowd participation parts. Sit down, everybody jump up. Multiple walls of death.
Yeah.
Yeah. All of it.
Fuck, dude.
And nobody knew otherwise.
Yeah, it happened.
Wow. Is this we could essentially have like you know how like in the Beatles, you know, they had the Paul is dead conspiracy? Yep. What if Corey Taylor is actually dead and you're Corey Taylor?
I don't know.
Damn, dude.
I know. I probably just blew your guys' minds.
This is like, and oh my God, I like.
Is life real at this point? Is what I want to know.
Pretty crazy.
That is crazy, dude. Is it hard singing through that mask?
It's really fucking hard.
Yeah, I'm sure it just brings back. I mean, when COVID happened, I'm sure lifting in a mask, you're just like, it's like the same thing. Really horror stories, Vietnam style flashback, right?
Yeah. Total. Just sweat and smell.
Oh God, that latex smell's gotta be awful.
Fuck yeah.
Dude, that's killer. That's killer. I did not know that, and I doubt any of our listeners knew that as well.
No, it's been a good secret.
I mean, but you said you do have those Midwest roots, so I bet the worst part about being in Slipknot was the fact that you have to say we're from Iowa.
Yeah. That's the hardest part. Yeah, totally.
Well, all. Brandon, thank you so much for chatting more about Bleeding Through.
No
Again, like you guys are total legends and have influenced so many of the bands that like Cullen and I have grown up listening to, and we're super stoked to see seeing you guys at Furnace Fest. It's going to be a hell of a show. Cool. And so thanks so much.
We're going to be stage
diving
for sure.
and we'll see you soon.
Cool. Thank you guys so much for having me.